Hey, everybody.
Bang, ka-pie, shot, bang, ka-pie,
Boom, bing, bonk, kapow.
boom, bing, bonk, kapow.
That's right, we're back with our sampling keyboard. And there it is.
Boom, bing, bonk, kapow.
Yes, a real knockout, this one. So, in this tutorial, we are going to take what we have made so far, which is impressive, and make it even more impressive. And as impossible as that sounds, it is going to be done, but there are some slightly tedious parts to it. Mostly this will be about duplication and cleanup here. So I'm sorry to say that the last of these three awesome groove, sampling, recording into buffers is going to end up with so much tedious labor. But hey, we love that, so let's just get started, huh? Okay, so here we go. I think the thing to do first is to take the things that we want to be part of the interface and to move them up. So I'm going to unlock my patcher. I'm going to take these things and I'm going to move them up here. And I'm going to take this and move it up here. And I'm going to take this and move it up here. Maybe we should make some comments here. Like this is comment, range finder, range slider. And this is comment speed, because they look very similar, right? There we go, speed. Okay, and then I'm going to make this horizontal. Whoop, it doesn't like to be horizontal. I'm going to make it small. There we go. And put it over here so that I can move all this stuff down that doesn't need to be up there. So I'm really just grabbing stuff and moving it out of the way here. Why? Because what we have to do is to, we don't need this up here, is to fit all this into each of our voices. So essentially we want to get all the things that tell it the MIDI notes, like this, for example. Just pluck that right out of the middle there, grabbing it carefully and bringing that down here. We'll disambiguate this in a little bit. And also this can be down there too. And also the velocity. And over here we have the velocity. Everything below this, 0 over here, can come inside the new sample synth. So essentially here it is, notes coming in, and then this is going to go through the poly and into this, and all of this stuff we can put inside of our sample synthesizer. And if it's not clear now, maybe it will never be. But now is a little bit of the tedious part. We could keep our time stretch selector like this and then run it. Okay, game plan. We're going to make 6 voices. So that would mean that anything up here that's a control would have to go to 6 things. And that can really get to be a pain in the neck. So my plan, such as it is to put a send and a receive on each one of these controls, and then have the send up here and the receive down there. Here, let me show you what I mean. So I'm going to type N, I'm going to type send. This is a good habit for you. Here we go. JR, time stretch. Okay. And then I do this funny thing where I just duplicate it. I option click on it and I pull it down here so that I know without a shadow of a doubt that they match. And then I just change the S to an R for receive, right? And then I discover where does the time stretch. Well, there's actually 3 things coming out of the time stretch. So we're going to plug them into the receive from time stretch, right? Here's 1. Here's 2. Here's the 3rd. Right? And now we can tuck this sort of down here because we've done it. And then we take the send time stretch and we just put it right there where all those wires used to be, right? So this switching is going to send to this, and it's going to go right back down those 3 cables that it used to go down, patch cords, excuse me. Then we'll do the same thing for loop. I can also be lazy about this too. I will just copy these, move them over, and type loop behind the JR. And loop behind this JR. And if they are the same now, and they look like they are, I'm going to go from this one to that one, and that one to that one. So you see everything that comes into this send JR loop will come out of this JR loop. Why am I doing this? Because if this gets duplicated into 6 of them, there will be 6 of these receiving this, and we only had to make 1 each of this. Handy, right? So, great. Now I have the speed and range slider to do, and it gets slightly more complicated, but not too complicated for us. I'm just going to start over again so you get the idea. New, and then send JR space JR. Whoops, no spaces in the names. You can't do that, or the name would just be JR. So I'm going to say R slider min, and I'll just put a capital in there. Okay. And now I'm going to duplicate it and make one a receiver. And now I'm going to go a whole nother direction, and I'm going to duplicate both of them and change the min to max. Why am I doing that? Because this is going to send out the maximum for the loop, and this one's going to send out the minimum. So the range slider minimum and the range slider maximum. So I'm going to take this and put it on the bottom of the receiver, and I'm going to hook the output to the send object. And we can tuck this in up there. And then I'm going to do the same thing here with this range slider and hook this one around to that one and tuck that back up there. So now that these are separate, I can move them down and out of the way. And you can see it's starting to slowly unclutter. So we have the speed here, which has a peculiarity in that this is sending something to the speed. Oh goodness. Okay, well, we'll see. Maybe we may have to send another object there. But anyway, same thing for speed. We'll type a new object, send JR, or whatever your initial is, speed. Oops. Speed. And then I'll duplicate it by option click drag on it And then I'll make this one a receiver. Right? And here's this. Coming back. And then this one comes down to here. And I can tuck that one up into there. And now, all these wires that are going across here, I really only want this one because this is velocity. I see it goes up to there. I have this one. That's the node in. That's okay. But this one, I do not wish that I had it here. And I think the problem is that this one should be hooked up to the top. Here, I'll show you why. This one doesn't need to be down there. I hooked it up to time stretch, but it didn't need to be. It could be hooked directly to the time stretch switch. Sorry, it's a little bit of a tongue twister. So I shouldn't have separated that one. But if you can see what I'm saying right now, there's only two chords that are crossing over into this area. And that is the node in, MIDI, the MIDI note, and also the MIDI velocity. Fantastic. And now we're going to take this one tiny step even further. Well, tell you what we'll do. We will select everything here. Whoops. Am I unlocked? Am I? There we go. Except we do want the live gain, but we don't want the easy DAC. So select across there, and then we have, you're going to have to hold the shift key down to get these also. And then you can go up here and say view, edit, encapsulate, or shift command E.
Boom, bing, bonk, kapow, zow.
Thank you, thing. And we will call this, I'm just going to use my initials now, JR, sample synth. Okay. There it is. The JR sample synth is there. Now, we are not 100% done yet because there's other things to do. And one of them is that we actually don't even want two lines coming in here. We really only want one with these combined. You'll see why in a minute, but there's no way to do this kind of simply from here to here. So remember that these two are connected. How's that? And I'm just going to delete them for the moment. You'll understand in a minute because we'll go back up. Come on, delete. All right. So our node in, we had sort of talked about this before. We were going to put a poly here to divide this into 6 voices. I'm going to make a little room here. Whoops. Not that way, but this way. There we go. Move this over. Now we've got a little room to work. New object, the poly. And the poly splits things into 6 different voices. That's what we want. So we're going to say there's 6. And now are we going to put it in steal mode? Yes, we are, because it sounds good. We love to steal things. And I'm just kidding, of course. What it does is if you get to pressing 7 notes, it steals the first one that you push down and lets you use that as the 7th. So there's only ever 6 that you can get, but it allows you to use a 7th. So we hook the MIDI note up to the first, and we hook the velocity up to the second. And now this is going to be the voice number. So now we go and we get our old friend, the spray, new, I'm sorry, spray. I almost said funnel. So then we want, how many outlets? We want 6. What's the offset? you guys have done this before if you're in my class. We offset it by 1 so that the first outlet doesn't end up being 0. It ends up being 1. And then we do want it in list mode because it needs to put out more than a single number. So any number in here will do, but I always just put in a 1. Okay, so now the spray is ready to go, but I forgot my important object that goes before there, which is the pack object, not to be confused with the POC object, which we will get to later. P-A-C-K. And then space, and then 0, then space, 0, space, 0. There it is. You'll notice it matches up to the poly so nicely. And so what happens? The velocity will come out here and get loaded in here. The MIDI note number, the pitch, will come out there. Come on. And go right in there, the second element. And then this is going to tell it where to go when it comes out spray. So this will be the voice number. And that will also trigger the pack to send out all 3 numbers into spray. It's going to work. Believe me, it is going to work. So when spray does that, it's going to have these 2 notes coming out the bottom here. And so what we need is a way to unpack them. Well, tell you what, we'll do an experiment. New, unpack, and then 0, 0. And make sure this darn thing works, right? So we'll just put some messages down here. Well, I'll tell you what. We'll leave them working. I'm going to make it 2 integers. So here's 1. And another. And then we'll just hook this to outlet number 1. And I guess we'll hook a message up here so we can see what's going on. I do this all the time just to make sure that my information is flowing the way I think it is. Okay, lock your patcher and let's play a note. So voice number 1, that is pitch of 40 and a velocity of 101. And so if this were inside of our synth, it would give us pitch 40 at 101. And now I'm going to let go of the D key on my keyboard that I'm holding down, and this should go to 0. And it does. And if I push the next note, nothing happens here because now it's moving to voice 2, which comes out over here. All right, so we can understand what's going on there, and there's 0. So we can now get rid of this thing, and in fact we want to. So I'm going to unlock my patcher. I'm going to highlight these things, and I'm going to say Command X, otherwise known as cut. You could also just copy them and delete them, but I'm cutting them. Now I'm going to lock my patcher and open up my sample synth. And I'm going to make this sort of tall so I can work in here. Okay, so this is everything we threw in here. Let's pull it down so we can have a little tiny bit of room to work. And let's go up to the top here and now say paste. Whoops, paste it all the way over there. So here is what we want to happen. We want this, everything coming in through outlet 1, we want it to go to this pitch here. And everything coming in outlet 2, we want it to go to this one, which is going to be velocity, left-hand outlet, just as a reminder. So that's what we want, and we are only going to have one inlet on this machine. So I'm going to delete that one, do that, And then I'm going to take all my receives and put them up here sort of so that if they're not working, we can find them and discover what's not working. So they're sort of like inlets, so I just kind of put them up here as an organizational prop. And this should all be working now, and we can look out here. This is where our sample synth will be. Let's just move, let's unlock our patcher and just move this whole kit and caboodle, as they say, down here. And then we can make spray nice and wide. But don't go doing anything crazy. This is just a test. This is only a test. Okay. So let's see how number 1's doing here. We'll see the numbers here. Lock your patcher so that you don't do anything crazy. And there's 5, there's 6, and now we're expecting to hear something.
Boom, bing, bonk, kapow, zow.
We'll just turn the speed up a little bit there and see if it goes fast. Oh, now we got to go around again. 5, 6, here we go.
Boom, bing, bonk, kapow, zow.
I'm going to say that I'm not 100% sure that speed is any faster, but let's also try these out because we've never sent any information over them. So let's try that. We'll turn the loop off. We'll turn the time stretch off and see what we get. Oh, I'm also on -1 here for my grand entrance. So here we go. Oh, got to go around. 2, there's 6. Here we go.
Boom, bing, bonk, kapow, zow.
Okay, and then it stops all by itself. I'm still holding the key down. Now I let off. Let's turn the loop on and make sure it works. Oh, got to go around again. I know, it's so
Boom,
annoying.
bing, bonk, kapow, zow. Boom, bing, bonk,
Okay,
kapow.
loop is working. And what about our time stretcher? Oh, got to go around again. 6. Here we go.
Boom, bing, bonk, kapow, zow. Boom, bing, bonk, kapow, zow. Boom, bing, bonk, kapow, zow. Boom, bing, bonk, kapow.
Yep.
Zow. Boom.
Okay. Everything seems to be working. So let's do the thing that we really love to do, which is take this whole thing, right? We're going to open a new patcher, Command N, and put it over here. Then we're going to come back over here, going to select everything. I usually just say Command A. So got it, copy, Command A, that's everything. Command C, copy, come over here. Command V, everything pops right in there. And then we save this new file. File, save as JR sample synth. You notice I made this just for my own laziness. Very, very similar to this, so I can just delete the P off the front of them. There we go. So we go ahead and we save that. All right, so now there's a JR sample synth that is its own patcher, and the JR sample synth that is a sub-patcher. And so what we can do when we come back here is delete that P and see what happens. Look, there it is, the JR sample synth. And
Boom, bing,
thank
bonk,
you.
kapow, zow.
When the signals turn on, they tend to fire the groove, and so it just plays it by itself. But I love the effect. Absolutely love it. So now we can simply duplicate these by option clicking on them and making our 6 voices. We connect them like so. And we apparently have a left and a right audio out. So what can we do? We can do all the lefts by doing this and holding the shift key down. Bonk, 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 bonk. Let go of the shift key and then attach it. There you go. Now we do the right side. Hold the shift key down and off we go. Hooking it right up there. Let go of the shift key and there it is. And, well, I think that the whole thing might just work. Lock your patcher and just see. But you know what? Click these things first, and you might even need to send it some volume or something like that. Oh, no, the volume's going to just be thrown right in there, so you don't have to worry about that. We'll send it a range to play, maybe even a speed. What do you think? There we go. Oh, I can't see what the speed is. That's interesting. Here, I'll just click that button. Now I know it's supposed to be 1. Okay, here we go. Playing the keyboard.
Boom, bing,
Boom,
bonk,
bing,
kapow,
bonk, kapow.
zow.
Boom, bing, bonk, kapow.
Boom, bing, bonk, kapow.
So I'm going to explain just this one thing about what's cool about time stretch and what is unhelpful about it. And that is, if you're trying to, let's say, have 3-part harmony with something, so you're playing 3 of them and you're starting at the same time.
Boom, bing, bonk, kapow. Zow.
Zow.
So you notice because the higher notes are playing faster, they get done earlier. But if you turn on time stretch,
Boom, bing, bonk, kapow. Zow.
see what I'm saying? You get that? So that's what time stretch is really useful for. I'm sorry it's taken so long to get around to this tight harmony illustration of how it works.
Boom, bing, bonk, kapow.
But it's a really fascinating thing. So you can turn the time stretch on or off depending on how you like it. And of course, loop as well, speed you can adjust, etc. So now that we have all this working, wait, we have forgotten something. So unlock your patcher and put your control key down and click on your keyboard and then say Object, Open Original, because we want to remember something. So here's our original keyboard, and our keyboard does something interesting in which it has, yes, it does, it has a bender. So I'm going to take it out of presentation mode, and I'm going to unlock it, and I'm going to say, hey, look, there's a send pitch bend. So I'm just going to copy it. Why? Because I want one down here in my sampler. So I'm going to say copy, and I'm just going to take this whole thing. I could just close it without doing anything. Here, close. There. Go back where you came from. And now we're going to open up our sample synth. Whoops. Locking our patcher. And we are going to, now you notice, remember what this means, this exclamation point. It means there's more than one. You're messing around with a whole bunch of something. It's warning you, but you don't care. So unlock it. Paste in our send object and turn it into a receive object. You can just make it an R. So there you go. So now this thing can receive the pitch bend from the keyboard. And in the other one, what we did was we said, well, we know that the pitch bend is going to be between, you know what? I'm just going to I'll just do it. So it's going to receive an integer, and it's going to be between 0 and 127. It is usually going to be 64. So we discovered that if we scale that and do it slightly wrong, because if you make it 0 to 127, it just doesn't quite end up being 0 at 64. But if you make it 1 to 127, and then the output is, let's just say, I think our decision before was that pitch bend was much more exciting when it was plus or minus 4 than when it was plus or minus 1. So plus or minus 4, I'm going to say that the scale here is now going to go from negative 4.0 to positive 4.0. So if we get a 64, it should output a 0. Make sure this is a float number here, right? So here's the float, and we can probably push this even though, and say there's 64, and it comes out exactly 0. And then if we go all the way up to 127, it goes up to 4, and if we go all the way down to 0, which we can't do because it'll really only go down to 1 and then it'll stop 1, it'll be negative 4. So this is now working perfectly scale-wise. And what's the point of all this is going to be to add and subtract numbers to our pitch that's coming in here. And to do that, we need an add or subtract object, so which is really an add object. So plus, and then we put 0.0. That will tell this object, hey, you're a float object, first of all. I'm going to hold the shift key down and see if it'll just pop right in there. All right, so the shift key just pops right in there, and then we're going to do that, and that is going to, I won't be able to do the pitch bend yet. We're just going to have to trust that it will work. Or maybe we can put this over here and watch it when we do the shift bend. I don't know if we'll be able to see it. Will we? We can see it, but now we can't see this part. There we go. Okay, but we can listen to it. So we're going to take this and save it, and be prepared for a cacophony because all of these things are going to reload at the same time. So here we go. Saving.
Boom, bing, bonk, kapow, zow.
I'm surprised that all 6 of them didn't do it. But maybe they did. Maybe they just all did it at precisely the same moment. Anyway, here we go. Let's try a note.
Boom, bing, bonk, kapow, zow. Boom, bing, bonk, kapow, zow. Boom, bing.
Oh. I remember. Do you remember? I remember. We put an object in here that is called bondo, and every time you moved this, it would resend the number. So I skipped it this time. The 53 only comes through once, and then it doesn't matter how many times you change that. Next object, new. We went over this in a previous bondo 0.0 and 0.0, or maybe it's just number of inlets. Oh yeah, whatever. We'll see how this works. Okay, so this is the new way it works. So what happens is every time that you run the pitch bend up and down, then this number will re-trigger. Bondo will re-trigger it. Bondo is one of those where most objects, only when you put something in the left-hand side does it trigger, like the plus. But Bondo, if you put something in here, triggers both of them. Put something in here, triggers both of them. So let's see if it works now. We'll do this.
Boom, bing, bonk, kapow, zow. Boom, bing, bonk, kapow, zow.
Yeah, it's working.
Boom, bing.
I actually don't know if I saved this. One of them is working.
Boom, bing, bonk, kapow, zow.
I am really sorry that has to do that every single time. But here we go. Again.
Boom, bing,
Bonk,
kapow,
zow.
Yeah, I think it's working.
boom, bing,
Bonk,
bonk,
kapow,
zow, zow.
zow.
Boom, bing, bonk, kapow, zow. Boom, bing, bonk, kapow, zow.
Yeah, it has a very odd effect, but I think it's working. All right. Well, let's declare victory and go on to making our keyboard before it's midnight here. Okay. So we have all this working, and virtually none of it has to be in our interface. We have a range slider. You know, it's complicated to get all these working just so. So my thought about them is that you probably want a preset for this. And I'm already getting an idea of how it might work. But then you hook this to like your speed and your range slider, sorry. And I'm going to do this, click. I'm holding the shift key down as I like. And there we go. And then now we just have to put all of this stuff in presentation mode. So let's pick those. What's this? This is the, oh yeah, this is good. So believe it or not, this B patcher has to be put in presentation mode. Let's just, so let's click all the objects. I'm going to hold the shift key down. And then I do want my rangefinder. I do want the comments. I do want this speed control. I like the speed. I like the presets. I like this thing to label the loop. And the radio, whoops. I can't get the radio button. There we go. That's funny. Oops. Doesn't matter. You're just trying to select them. Don't need any of these, but we do want this. We want that. We want that. We want that. We want... Do we want the channels? Sure, why not? The record button, of course. And we might even want to put a label in there at some point. We want the speaker down here. And we want our inspector. And tell everything to open in presentation. And so saying, let's see what happens if we go and just stick it in presentation. Looks like that. So we can start our arranging. I kind of like that. What do you think? Does it work? Make our super synth board. This is the record button. It'd be nice to have it be red or something. I'm going to put a comment in here with all caps that say record. Oh my goodness. Record. There we go. I know it could be nicer. We could work on the font there, but better to know what it is than not. Okay. Volume, sure. Whoops. Oh, this whole thing moves together. Okay. Should have remembered that. And then well, you know, does not have to be perfect, but alrighty. I don't know that this makes sense to not have the controls exactly in the place where you're using them, but hey. There's that. And that is the speed control. And this is the something vaguely unsatisfying about that, but here, I'm going to put the speaker over here. I think what's wrong with this is that this should be over here, and this should be maybe under there. This is a tricky one. And then I don't know about, it seems like both this and this, oops, should be holding them down, should have white text. Great. And they should also be centered. And there's the presets now fitting in there, and then you've got your loop control. Oh, sorry, it goes like that. And then you've got your time stretch selector. You know, you're the ones that have to worry. Though I do wonder, no, it won't go horizontal. Could change the size of it and things of that sort. But there we go. Oops. One other thing, remind yourself to click on the background, go to your patcher inspector, slide down here to view, and make sure that it opens in presentation mode, because you don't need it to be messing you around. And then make it a size that you like. Maybe get rid of the toolbars. I mean, yeah, I know you can have a background color and all that. View, define initial window location, I think we're good. I'm going to save it. I'm going to shut it off. And then we close it, and then we come up here. We say, open it back up. There it is.
Boom, bing, bop, pow, kaboom, pop.
Wow. It's excited. I guess, I'm actually even surprised it could, play without the oh, they can play without the volume up. Of course they can. Well, let's see how it's working here. We're going to select our network 1. We'll put our volume up here.
Boom, 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 boom.
So, well, one thing we can definitely do is turn the volume down a little bit.
Boom, kaboom, bing, kaboom, bing, kaboom, kaboom, kaboom.
And let's recheck if our things work out. We've got the, we can turn the time stretch selector on. We can turn loop on and see how this goes.
Boom, kaboom, bing, boom, pow, kaboom, 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 boom, kaboom, bop, kaboom.
I love it. I love when they stay in sync like that. Now, let's see. It is weirdly not paying attention to the range because it just opened, so it's playing the entire thing. But it would be a good idea to make some, like, the whole thing at such and such a speed, and we'll save that as number 1, and then maybe something here, and maybe a little faster. I don't know. And we'll save that as number 2. And then maybe something over here, very speedy, save that as number 3. And then we can also do stuff like this where you can play it. Oops. Oh, it's just not, I'm playing it, but it's on a sort of dead spot.
Boom, bing, bop. Boom, bing, boom.
Boom, bing, boom.
Boom, 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 boom.
Well, and what about our, let's try a different range. I don't really like that one. And slower speed. And I'm going to make that number 4. There we go, and try that out.
Bop, 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 pow, kaboom, bop, pow, kaboom, bop, pow, kaboom, bop, pow, kaboom.
Nice. So we've got it all working here. There's a couple other things we could probably dress up. One thing is it's really nice to have, of course, these presets so that it can automatically expand out to where you want it. You could, what else? You could put some nice colors in here. That's for sure. Patcher inspector. There we go. Whoops. I didn't mean to do that. I just wanted to change the locked background color to what's going to be our new patcher look. Green, a dull green. So as not to bore you, I'm just going to pick that and call it a day there. And yeah, so it's looking. Oh, and let's also we'll put that away. We'll put this in like that. We will go up to view and we'll get rid of our toolbars so it's nice and tidy. And then just to be on the safe side, we'll say define initial fixed window location. And look at that. We have got ourselves a beautiful little patcher. I'm going to save it one more time. I'm going to close it. I'm going to close it, and I hope that this time when I open it, it doesn't absolutely blow our eardrums out. I'm not sure what happened.
Boom, bing, bop, pow, kaboom, pop.
I know what to do with this. Well, I know exactly what the problem is because the gain control is inside each one of those little sample synths. So let's go ahead and open one since I happen to have mine. There it is. And here's what the problem is. There it is. The gain is up because it hasn't been told not to be up. So every time it restarts, the gain's all the way up. So all we have to do is tell it to not be up when it loads. Simple. Unlock your patcher, come up here. So this is where we scale the volume. I could say load bang -70 right into the groove, but I'm going to be lazy. I'm not lazy. I'm just keeping things simple for myself. There we go. Load bang. I always like a load bang 0. You can actually say load mess 0, but that's for another time. So I'm going to put a 0 here. I'm going to tell this to bang on that 0, and I'm going to run the 0 right into, let's see, it can't go, do not put it in here because then the 0 will trigger it because it'll be selected. So what you wanted to do is go right in here in the scale, and that will turn the volume down. And we can check that that's true by watching this right now. I'm going to lock my patcher and hit this thing. Pow, right to the bottom. So every time this opens, it's going to run its volume down to the bottom, and we will be saved from our ear-splitting. And now I'm going to save this. And thank goodness when I saved it, it was completely quiet because that's a good sign. So we're going to put this away. We're going to save this with whatever, and we're going to put it away. And now we're going to open it again. There it, oh, so nice. That's just reacting to my voice now, nothing else. So there we go. And now you can be off on your, your Let's Go Surfing Safari, Barbara Ann, whatever you want. Barbara Ann. You know where I'm going with this, right? Oops. I always forget when it opens, it does that. Okay, here we go. Bonk.
Ba 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 Barbara Ann. Boom. Ba 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 Barbara Ann. Boom. Ba ba ba.
Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.
Barbara Ann.